Next up, I read a thing.
Yes.
Uh, so this is Tales from the Bully Pulpit, which is a comic book that has been living rent-free in my head since I saw an issue in a comic book store that no longer exists about 20 years ago. Because I remember picking it up off the shelf, leafing through it a little bit, putting it back down, and having no memory of what I actually read. But the concept is kind of brilliant because it's a time lost Teddy Roosevelt teaming up with the ghost of Thomas Edison to fight Hitler on Mars. Yes.
Yeah.
Uh, it's an image comic that is no longer in print, but it is available digitally on Amazon and other places, which is how I read it. Um, yeah, that is the actual premise.
Yes. It's so bonkers it just might work.
Yep. It's from a creative duo of Sereno and McDonald, who co-created this because Image always creator-owned.
Mhm.
And amusingly enough, I looked over the author's, not IMDb, his Wikipedia page. It trails off in 2009. Uh,
Okay.
there was a surprising amount of stories about Mars because, like, there was a King Arthur on Mars, and there was a Tick 20th anniversary special I did where the title looked like it took place on Mars. So the guy really liked John Carter of Mars, I think.
Yeah. Wow.
Uh, but yeah, basically the storyline is that Teddy Roosevelt steals H.G. Wells' time machine, uh, travels to the future where he encounters the ghost of Thomas Edison, who has been sitting there watching humanity for years, getting more and more jaded because he can't interact with anything. Those gloves in the picture there are actually his special gloves that he made so he could interact with the corporeal world after his death. And he's like, "Oh, I just need you to perform a procedure to activate or to finish them." Okay, what's that? Uh, Turn on the switch. Like he's just waiting for 80 years for someone to walk over and turn the switch on this thing. So he's the one who understands the present, and he's very jaded.
Yeah. Mhm.
And they end up fighting Hitler's Hispanic grandson from Argentina. I believe his name is Jorge Hitler. What kind of drugs did the writers use? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'll say if I was going to give this thing a rating, I would give it the higher end of mixed because, like a lot of comedic things, it either hits or like the jokes either land or they don't.
Mhm.
And there's quite a bit that does land. Um, there is a bit where a time lost Abe Lincoln enters the picture and ends up in a fight with Hitler. There's some good callback and setup jokes done throughout, like things in the first issue that just seem like they're asides do end up paying off in the last issue. It's only 3 issues long, so it's not a
Oh,
long
okay.
read.
Hmm.
Um, if I was going to give any criticism of it, I would say so. The part of it is that some of the humor is dated. I don't mean because there's a few kind of blue humor bits that might get someone canceled today. I more mean, what the heck? Hmm, hmm. Okay, so Edison there is a ghost, and he's getting around with his gloves,
Yeah.
and um, Teddy at one point, he and Teddy are on the side of the road, and a police officer comes over, like, "Hey, what's your friend doing there? Why can't I see him?" And you cut to afterwards, and Edison is like, You told them I was black, so I didn't show up well in the dark." Except you might have used an old timey term for it. To which Teddy replies, "They believed me, didn't they?"
Oh. Oh.
Right? He's
Ooh.
like, "What? I don't know there's black people. I saw several of them in the present."
Oh, jeez.
But
Oh, man.
so I'd say that this thing it definitely has It had some moments that made me giggle. It had some moments that made me groan.
Yeah.
It's partially a little bit too low random for some of my tastes. I I do also kind of wish that they had found a villain from the same time period as Edison and Roosevelt because everyone fights Hitler.
Yeah.
Edison even puts a lampshade on it where he's like, yeah, it's always about fighting Hitler. Mussolini and Stalin and Tojo always did awful things, but not
Yeah.
but no one
Yeah.
ever ends up fighting them.
Yeah.
Um, I also say that Teddy is perhaps portrayed as a little too stupid to contrast with Edison,
Uh, yeah.
but if I take away those criticisms, it's just a silly adventure comedy series,
Mm,
and it doesn't take very long to get through. So
okay.
uh,
Mm,
again, like a modest recommend. If you have Amazon credit to burn, there's worse ways to burn it.
okay. Yeah. All right. Sounds cool. Yeah.
Yep. I'm glad I finally did read it though, because I always had it in the back of my mind. Honestly, I was expecting, like, from what I had read, I almost had a half memory of it being more serious than it was. So I'm
Yeah.
glad to finally break away that concept, or to dispel that notion,
Yeah. Yeah.
because now it means that what I was half remembering, I could almost use myself.
Yeah. Yeah.